The quantum detection array aboard the ESS Hawking screamed to life, catching Dr. Elena Santos off guard. After 3 years of scanning the edges of the Oort cloud for signs of intelligent life, the array had remained stubbornly silent. But now, its displays blazed with activity, showing the unmistakable signature of controlled quantum tunneling. Someone was coming. External transition detected, Elena announced, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Mass signature consistent with a large vessel, approximately 3 kilometers in length. Captain Sarah Chen nodded, her expression unreadable as she studied the tactical display. Earth's first contact with an alien civilization was about to happen, and it was happening on her watch. "Battle stations," she ordered quietly, "but keep weapons powered down. Let's not start an interstellar incident." The alien vessel materialized in a burst of controlled quantum foam, its hull gleaming with an impossible metal that seemed to absorb and reflect light simultaneously. The ship's design defied human engineering principles, all curves and organic flows, where human vessels favored practical angles and structural efficiency. First contact protocols, drilled into every Space Force crew member, kicked in automatically. The ESS Hawking broadcast greetings in every known format, from radio waves to quantum-entangled particles. The response came almost immediately, but not in the form anyone expected. A voice, speaking perfect English, emerged from every speaker on the bridge. Primitive quantum detection equipment, yet functional enough to notice our arrival. Fascinating. The condescension in the alien voice was unmistakable. Elena felt her cheeks burn as she analyzed the incoming transmission. "They're using our own communication systems to speak to us," she reported. They've hacked our ship's computers in seconds." The alien voice continued. "I am First Speaker Korin of the Kelrathi Federation. Your species has achieved rudimentary quantum manipulation capabilities sooner than our models predicted. Consider this first contact achieved. You will be evaluated for potential associate status within our Federation." Captain Chen stood from her command chair, her bearing proud despite the implied insult. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Spaceship Hawking. We welcome you and offer friendship on behalf of humanity." A sound like crystalline laughter echoed through the bridge. "Friendship? Between your primitive species and the Kelrathi? You barely understand the basics of quantum mechanics, using brute force methods where elegance is required. Your ship's engines are painfully inefficient. We detected your attempts at quantum communication networks, child's play compared to our civilization's capabilities." Elena's hands clenched into fists as she studied the readings from the alien vessel. Yes, their technology was advanced, but something about their quantum signature seemed odd, as if they were deliberately showing off, using far more energy than necessary for simple space travel. "We are young as a spacefaring species," Captain Chen acknowledged, "but we are eager to learn and contribute to the galactic community." "Contribute?" First Speaker Korin's voice dripped with amusement. "Your species will need centuries of development before you can offer anything of value to the Federation. We will establish an embassy on your planet to monitor your progress. Perhaps in a few generations, you will be ready for limited technology transfers." As the conversation continued, Elena quietly began archiving every scrap of data she could gather about the alien vessel. Their arrogance had revealed more than they intended. Details about their quantum manipulation techniques, their computer systems, their energy generation methods. The Kelrathi might see humans as primitive, but they had forgotten one of humanity's greatest strengths: the ability to learn and adapt rapidly under pressure. The first contact meeting lasted another 3 hours, during which the Kelrathi continued to belittle human achievements while demonstrating their supposedly superior technology. When they finally departed, leaving behind coordinates for future diplomatic contacts, the bridge crew of the ESS Hawking sat in stunned silence. "Well," Captain Chen said finally, a slight smile playing at her lips, "that was educational." Elena looked up from her station, where she was still processing the mountain of data they'd gathered. "They don't think we're capable of understanding their technology," she said slowly. "But Captain, Some of their quantum manipulation techniques, they're similar to theoretical work we've been doing at the Geneva Institute. They're more advanced, yes, but the principles are fundamentally the same, Chen finished. And they just gave us a practical demonstration of their applications. She turned to address the entire bridge crew. Send everything we've gathered to Earth Command. Highest priority, most secure channels, and not a word about our own quantum pocket research program. As Elena prepared the data transmission, she couldn't help but smile. The Kelrathi had arrived expecting to find primitive beings playing with forces they barely understood. Instead, they had given humanity exactly what it needed: confirmation that their theoretical work on dimensional manipulation was viable, and a roadmap to its practical application. The Kelrathi would establish their embassy, watch humanity's primitive development, and file reports about Earth's slow progress in quantum physics. They would never suspect that deep within the asteroid belt, hidden in artificially generated pocket dimensions, humanity was already building something that would shake the foundations of their smug superiority. The game was on, and humanity was playing to win. Dr. Elena Santos stood in the observation deck of Project Prometheus, watching asteroids dance in the void outside. Except they weren't really asteroids. At least, not all of them. Some were doorways to pocket dimensions, spaces that shouldn't exist, carefully hidden from the prying eyes of Earth's new mentors. 5 years had passed since humanity's first contact with the Kelrathi Federation. 5 years of enduring their patronizing guidance, their carefully measured technology transfers, their constant reminders of humanity's primitive status. 5 years of playing the role of eager but slow students while humanity's greatest minds worked in secret. The latest test was successful. Dr. James Chen, Sarah Chen's brother and the project's lead physicist, announced as he joined Elena at the window. We've achieved stable dimensional compression at a ratio of 10,000 to 1. An entire city can now fit inside a space no larger than a small asteroid. Elena nodded, her eyes fixed on a particular asteroid that was actually the entrance to Olympus Station, humanity's first dimensional pocket habitat. And the Kelrathi still have no idea. Their quantum detection systems are actually working against them, James replied with a slight smile. They're so sophisticated, so precise in what they're looking for, that they completely missed the crude but effective methods we're using to hide our work. It's like having a microscope so powerful that you can't see anything larger than a cell. The irony wasn't lost on Elena. The Kelrathi's own arrogance had become humanity's greatest advantage. They were so convinced of their technological superiority that they never bothered to look for solutions that they considered beneath them. A holographic display materialized beside them, showing the current status of Project Prometheus. 12-dimensional pocket habitats were now operational, hidden throughout the asteroid belt. Each one contained a piece of humanity's secret space program: shipyards, research facilities, training centers, and even civilian habitats. All of it invisible to the Kelrathi's quantum sensors because it technically existed in a different dimensional space. Ambassador Kral is visiting Earth again next week, Elena said, referring to the Kelrathi's chief diplomatic representative. Another inspection of our progress. James snorted. Let me guess, he'll tour our public facilities, point out all the flaws in our quantum engineering, and offer more basic technology transfers that we supposedly need. Exactly, and we'll accept them gratefully while looking suitably impressed. Elena turned from the window to face James. The latest intelligence suggests the Kelrathi are facing increasing pressure from the Drachnid Empire. They're looking for client species to bolster their military strength, but they don't consider us advanced enough to be useful. James finished. Their loss. How goes the fleet production? Elena gestured, and the holographic display shifted to show the massive shipyards hidden within Hephaestus Station, another pocket dimension. Dozens of warships were under construction, their designs incorporating both stolen Kelrathi technology and humanity's own innovations in dimensional engineering. We'll have 50 ships ready within the month. Not as large as Kelrathi vessels, but more advanced than they could imagine. Each one equipped with pocket dimension generators that can hide their true capabilities until the moment they're needed. The display shifted again, showing the pride of humanity's secret fleet, the ESS Prometheus. Unlike the clunky, primitive ships humanity showed to their alien observers, the Prometheus was a masterpiece of human engineering. Its hull contained hundreds of pocket dimensions, allowing it to carry an arsenal that would make a Calrathi dreadnought seem underarmed. Its quantum engines, refined through careful study of Calrathi technology, were more efficient than anything the aliens had demonstrated. "Sarah's been chosen to command her," James said quietly. "When the time comes." Elena wasn't surprised. Captain Chen had proven herself during first contact, maintaining humanity's dignity while secretly gathering crucial intelligence. She would be perfect for what was to come. An alert chimed softly, and Elena checked her quantum communicator. "The Calrathi embassy is requesting another technical consultation. Apparently, they want to evaluate our progress on basic quantum shielding." "Well, we shouldn't keep our mentors waiting," James replied with a sardonic smile. "Let's go show them exactly how slowly and carefully we're developing our primitive understanding of quantum mechanics." As they prepared to return to Earth, Elena took one last look at the asteroid field. Somewhere out there, hidden in impossible spaces, humanity's future was taking shape. The Calrathi thought they were shepherding a primitive species toward enlightenment. They would never suspect that their condescension had motivated humanity to surpass them. The game of deception continued, but the pieces were almost in place. Soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology. It was in their ability to turn adversity into advantage, to learn from those who underestimated them, and to prepare in silence for the moment when everything would change. The forge of human ingenuity burned in secret, and its fire would soon light up the stars. The Calrathi embassy on Earth was in chaos. Ambassador Krell paced the crystalline floors of his office, his normally composed features twisted with anxiety as reports flooded in from across Federation space. The Drachnid Empire had launched a massive offensive, their war fleets striking simultaneously at multiple Calrathi worlds. "Impossible." He snarled at his communications array. "How did they bypass our quantum detection networks? Where did they get this level of technology?" On the other side of the embassy walls, Dr. Elena Santos listened through quantum monitoring devices far more sophisticated than anything the Calrathi thought humanity capable of producing. She exchanged glances with Captain Sarah Chen, who stood beside her in the unmarked observation post. "The Drachnids reversed engineered Calrathi technology," Elena whispered. "Just like we did. But they weren't subtle about it." Sarah nodded grimly. "And now the Calrathi are paying the price for their arrogance. Time to implement Operation Phantom Dawn." Waiting for final confirmation from Project Prometheus, Elena checked her quantum communicator. A single message appeared. 4G is hot. Strike now. Sarah straightened her uniform. "Then let's go offer our primitive assistance to our beloved mentors." They entered the Calrathi embassy through the front door, playing their long-practiced roles of eager students one final time. Ambassador Krell barely acknowledged their arrival, too focused on the stream of devastating reports. "Ambassador," Sarah said, maintaining the carefully respectful tone they'd used for years, "we couldn't help but notice the increased activity. Is there something wrong?" Krell waved a dismissive hand. "Nothing that concerns your species. Internal Calrathi matters. Though," he paused, seemingly struck by a thought, "your system's strategic location could be useful. We may need to establish additional military bases here to counter the Drachnid threat." "Of course, Ambassador," Sarah replied smoothly, "though perhaps we could offer more direct assistance. Our ships, while primitive by your standards, could help evacuate civilians or carry supplies." The ambassador's laugh was harsh. "Your vessels would be destroyed in seconds. This is a war fought with advanced quantum technologies that you barely comprehend. What could you possibly?" He stopped mid-sentence as every quantum detection system in the embassy suddenly screamed alerts. Outside the embassy windows, the sky above Earth's major cities shimmered as reality itself seemed to tear open. From these dimensional rifts emerged humanity's hidden fleet. The ESS Prometheus led the way, its massive form dwarfing the orbital defense platforms the Kelrathi had dismissed as primitive. Dozens of other warships followed, each emerging from their pocket dimension hangars, their hulls gleaming with technology that matched or exceeded anything in the Kelrathi arsenal. What is this? Krull stumbled back from the windows, his composure shattered. These ships, they're human. But our sensors never detected. Of course they didn't, Elena said, dropping all pretense of deference. You were looking for quantum signatures that matched Kelrathi technology. We developed something different, something new. Sarah stepped forward, her bearing now that of an equal, not a student. Ambassador Krall, on behalf of Earth Command, I am authorized to offer the Kelrathi Federation military assistance against the Drachnid Empire. Our fleet stands ready to deploy immediately. This is impossible, Krall whispered. The dimensional manipulation required. The energy constraints. We've been studying your species for years. No, Elena corrected him. You've been studying what we wanted you to see. While you were busy teaching us basic quantum mechanics, we were learning from your mistakes and developing technologies you never considered possible. The quantum communicator chimed again. Reports were flooding in from across Kelrathi space. The Drachnid offensive had pushed deep into Federation territory, overwhelming their defenses with unexpected technological superiority. Your Federation faces a choice, Ambassador, Sarah said quietly. Accept our help as equals, or watch your worlds fall while you cling to your prejudices. What will it be? Krull stared at the fleet hovering above Earth, his worldview crumbling as rapidly as his civilization's defenses. Finally, his shoulders slumped in resignation. How quickly can your fleet deploy? Sarah smiled. We're already deployed. Those ships you see, they're just the ones we're showing you. The rest of our fleet scattered across dimensional pocket spaces throughout your territory weeks ago, waiting for this moment. We've been monitoring the Drachnid buildup and preparing our response. All we need, Elena added, is your authorization to engage. The ambassador looked between them, finally seeing not primitive students but equals who had outmaneuvered his entire civilization. With trembling hands, he activated his quantum transmitter. This is Ambassador Krall. By the authority of the Federation Council, I formally request Earth's military assistance against the Drachnid Empire. Full operational authority is granted to. He paused, looking at Sarah. Fleet Commander Chen, she supplied. ESS Prometheus Actual. As the authorization was transmitted, Sarah's quantum communicator lit up with acknowledgments from human ships hidden throughout Kelrathi space. Operation Phantom Dawn was go. Humanity's hidden fleet was about to reveal itself to the galaxy, emerging from dimensional pockets behind Drachnid lines. The age of pretending to be primitive was over. It was time to show the galaxy what humanity could really do. The bridge of the ESS Prometheus hummed with controlled energy as Fleet Commander Sarah Chen studied the tactical display. Across Kelrathi space, human warships were emerging from their dimensional hideaways, catching Drachnid forces completely off guard. The element of surprise had given them a critical advantage, but the real test was about to begin. Drachnid dreadnought detected. Her tactical officer reported. They're charging weapons. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Show them what we've learned during our years of playing primitive. The Prometheus's dimensional pocket generators activated, creating multiple spatial distortions around the ship. To the Drachnid sensors, it would appear as though the human vessel had suddenly split into dozens of identical copies, each one potentially real or holographic. The dreadnought fired, its quantum-tipped missiles passing harmlessly through several phantom images before the real Prometheus emerged from a completely different dimensional pocket. The human vessel's return fire was devastating. Specialized quantum torpedoes that utilized the same dimensional technology to bypass the Drachnid shields entirely. Direct hits, the tactical officer announced with satisfaction. Their primary power grid is destabilizing. In the science station, Dr. Elena Santos monitored the quantum signature readings. They're using modified Kelrathi technology, she confirmed. But their understanding is basic, brute force application without finesse. They thought stealing the Kelrathi's tech would make them invincible. Just like the Kelrathi thought their technological superiority made them untouchable, Sarah replied. Status of the fleet. The strategic display updated, showing human vessels engaging Drachnid forces across multiple sectors. The aliens' numerical superiority meant nothing against humanity's dimensional warfare tactics. Ships appeared and disappeared at will, striking from impossible angles, their weapons bypassing conventional defenses through dimensional manipulation. On a secondary screen, Ambassador Krell watched the battle from his embassy on Earth, his expression a mixture of awe and dismay. Your ships, he said, his voice hollow. They're using principles of quantum mechanics that our scientists theorized were impossible. Not impossible, Elena corrected him. Just difficult to conceptualize if you're trapped in traditional thinking patterns. We had to develop these technologies in secret because your Federation would have tried to stop us if you'd known what we were actually capable of. The battle continued to unfold across space. Drachnid commanders, faced with an enemy that could attack from anywhere and ignore their defenses, began ordering retreats. Their carefully planned offensive was falling apart in the face of humanity's impossible tactics. Incoming transmission from the Drachnid flagship. Communications reported. They're requesting terms. Sarah straightened in her command chair. Put them through. The image of a Drachnid war leader appeared on screen, their serpentine features twisted with fury. What manner of devilry is this? You were supposed to be primitives, barely capable of interstellar flight. A common misconception. Sarah replied calmly. One we found useful to encourage. Your terms are simple. Withdraw from Kelrathi space immediately. Any vessel that remains after 12 standard hours will be considered hostile and dealt with accordingly. You dare dictate terms to the Drachnid Empire. Look at your tactical display, Sarah suggested. Count how many of your ships are still combat capable. Then make your decision. The Drachnid leader's scales rippled with barely suppressed rage, but they couldn't deny the reality of their situation. Out of their initial invasion fleet of 300 capital ships, barely 50 remained operational. The others had been disabled by weapons they couldn't defend against, fired by ships they couldn't effectively target. This isn't over, the Drachnid leader snarled before cutting transmission. No, Sarah agreed to the blank screen. It's just beginning. Over the next several hours, Sarah coordinated with other human commanders as they systematically pushed the Drachnid forces back. The aliens' retreat quickly turned into a rout as they discovered that humanity's dimensional pocket technology had been used to place armed forces behind their own lines, cutting off their escape routes. Ambassador Krell, still watching from Earth, finally asked the question that had been bothering him. Why? Why reveal your capabilities now? You could have waited, developed even further in secret. Elena answered, her eyes on the tactical display showing another Drachnid squadron surrendering. Because despite your condescension, humanity doesn't want to dominate. We want to cooperate, to be part of the galactic community, but as equals, not as servants or students. The Drachnids forced our hand, Sarah added. We couldn't stand by and watch them destroy the Kelrathi Federation, even if your people did treat us like children. Sometimes the best way to teach a lesson about humility is to demonstrate why it's needed. The quantum communicator chimed with a priority message from Earth Command. The Kelrathi Federation Council, seeing the effectiveness of human military technology, was requesting an immediate diplomatic conference to reassess Earth's status in galactic affairs. Sarah and Elena exchanged knowing looks. The balance of power had shifted, and now came the truly difficult part, handling victory with the grace their former mentors had lacked. 3 months after Operation Phantom Dawn, the Grand Conference Chamber of the Kelrathi Federation's capital world hosted an unprecedented gathering. Dr. Elena Santos stood at a podium before representatives from 24 spacefaring civilizations, including several who had previously dismissed humanity as primitive newcomers to the galactic stage. The dimensional pocket technology that had hidden humanity's true capabilities now served a different purpose. The entire chamber existed in a specially constructed pocket of space-time, allowing deliberations to be held in perfect security. The recent conflict with the Drachnid Empire, Elena began, demonstrated something we humans have known throughout our history. True strength lies not in technological superiority, but in how we choose to use our capabilities. In the audience, Ambassador Krall sat with the Kelrathi delegation, his earlier condescension replaced by thoughtful attention. Beside him, representatives from the defeated Drachnid Empire watched with carefully neutral expressions. Humanity could have revealed our advances years ago, Elena continued. We could have demanded recognition or sought revenge for the condescension we endured. Instead, we waited, we learned, and when the moment came, we chose to use our power to protect even those who had dismissed us. Fleet Commander Sarah Chen, now Admiral Chen, stood at the back of the chamber. The ESS Prometheus hung in orbit above, a visible reminder of humanity's hidden strength. But today, its dimensional pocket generators were being used to house diplomatic delegations and cultural exchange programs, rather than weapons. We propose a new framework for galactic cooperation, Elena announced. One based not on technological superiority or military might, but on mutual respect and shared innovation. The dimensional pocket technology that we developed in secret, we're offering to share it with all peaceful civilizations. A murmur of surprise rippled through the chamber. Even the Drachnid representatives leaned forward with interest. But Elena held up a hand, not as a complete package to be copied. Instead, we will work together, combining the unique insights of each species. The Kelrathi's mastery of quantum mechanics, the Drachnid's innovations in energy manipulation, humanity's dimensional engineering. Imagine what we could achieve by truly collaborating rather than competing. Sarah smiled as she watched the reactions among the delegates. The Kelrathi were already discussing among themselves, their natural scientific curiosity overcoming their traditional reservations about sharing technology. The Drachnids, having learned the hard way about the limitations of stolen technology, were paying close attention to the proposed collaboration. Some of you may wonder, Elena continued, why we would share our advantages so freely. The answer is simple. Humanity's greatest strength has never been our technology. It's our ability to adapt, to learn from others, and to turn adversity into opportunity. We don't need to hoard knowledge to maintain our position. She gestured, and the dimensional pocket containing the chamber shifted, giving everyone a view of Earth floating in space. The planet was transformed from what the aliens had first encountered years ago. Dimensional pocket generators created impossible spaces throughout the solar system, allowing humanity to expand while preserving their homeworld's natural beauty. This is what we offer, not just technology, but a new way of thinking about our place in the galaxy. The age of species competing to prove their superiority is over. The future belongs to those willing to learn from each other. As Elena concluded her presentation, Sarah moved to join her at the podium. The first round of technology sharing agreements would need to be negotiated, cultural exchange programs established, and joint research initiatives organized. But watching the previously hostile or dismissive species now engaging in eager discussion about collaboration, both women knew they had achieved something greater than military victory. They're actually listening now, Sarah murmured. Really listening, not just waiting for their turn to tell us how primitive we are. Elena nodded. Amazing what you can accomplish when you stop trying to prove you're the most advanced species in the room. Ambassador Krall approached them, his bearing now that of a colleague rather than a mentor. Your proposal is not what we expected, he admitted. After your military victory, we anticipated demands, reparations, perhaps even subjugation. That would have proven we learned the wrong lessons from our time as your students, Sarah replied. Instead, we learned something valuable from every patronizing lecture, every dismissive comment. The understanding that true advancement comes not from proving superiority, but from remaining humble enough to learn while confident enough to innovate. As delegates began approaching with questions and proposals, Alina smiled at the sight of Kelrathi and Drachnid representatives actually engaging in civil discussion. Humanity had revealed their hidden strength not just in their technology, but in their vision for the future. They had turned years of being underestimated into an opportunity to demonstrate a better way forward. The age of hiding was over. The age of true collaboration was about to begin. And humanity, the species that had once been dismissed as primitive, would lead the way not through force or technological superiority, but through their unique ability to turn adversity into advancement, competition into cooperation, and secrecy into shared prosperity. It was, Alina reflected, the most human victory of all.